Hi, it's Sarah Taylor from Parent Plus, and today this is my coming out video. I've been meaning to do one of these actually for a really long time, and then I was thinking a bit earlier, why have I left it so long? Maybe I am a bit apprehensive about doing this video. However, it's something that I think is important, and as I realised yesterday that today is classed as the Time to Talk Day, with regards to stigma, mental health and things like that, I thought, well, today is as good a day as any to do it. So it's pushed me to get it done today. I actually thought about doing this when, I don't know if many of you have seen, but I remember Tom Daley doing his coming out video when he put a video up on YouTube to tell people that he was gay. And I remember watching it and thinking how brave he was, and I just thought it was really lovely and sweet video. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if there were coming out videos about other things such as mental health? So this is my coming out video, inspired by Tom Daley. So you could say then that I have had mental health problems. It still even feels a little bit unsettling to say that, because actually I don't feel like I should be categorized as somebody having had mental health problems. However, you know what does that actually mean? Well, I had a breakdown when I was 25 and spent a month in the Priory. Was on all sorts of medication and struggling to live really day to day, just very simple things. And for those of you that know me personally, or have got to know me, I'm always very confident. I've come across as a very confident person, borderline bossy, some might say. Growing up, very outgoing, and kind of went from believing that I was very outgoing and confident to then what felt like, I know now it wasn't like this, but what felt like at the time, within a space of kind of 2 weeks, going from feeling okay to suddenly not wanting to leave the house at 25 years of age, feeling like I was having a heart attack. I felt physically extremely unwell and felt like I was losing my mind, to the point where I wouldn't actually want my mum to leave the house. It was like I'd regressed and become very small, very vulnerable and extremely overwhelmed. So as I said, I then ended up spending a month in the Priory, which was an interesting experience. Really started to see a different side to myself and start to really, quite frankly, see parts of myself that frightened the life out of me, really scared me, and I didn't really know what to do with them. So to cut a long story short, I spent the time there. I then came out of the Priory feeling better, but still quite heavily medicated and still a little bit lost as to, well, what now? What happens now? I was fine and then I wasn't fine, and I've now been in the Priory. What does that mean? I was quite embarrassed and I was quite scared about, would I not be able to work again somewhere, because it would be seen that I would have had mental health issues and that I'm not perfect anymore. I can't try and be perfect anymore because I've now had this happen to me. And it was, like I say, a really difficult time. So I came out, and obviously with the support of my family and my friends, some really good friends, I then really had the desire and the passion to work this out and find out what actually has happened and why has it happened and what do I need to do in order to make sure this doesn't happen again. One of my most vivid memories being in the Priory was speaking to the consultant, and I'd go and see her probably every few days just for a bit of an update, check my medication was okay. And I never forget saying to her, okay, so I just need to know now, what is it that I need to do to make sure that I never get anxious again? And she laughed at me. And at the time I was thinking, why is she laughing at me? And then we then had a conversation, which basically she said something that really stuck with me. It was a very simple thing. She said, you can't go the rest of your life never feeling anxious. And actually she was right, because anxiety and fear is actually a really useful feeling and something that kind of over generations it's developed because it's there to protect us and to keep us safe. However, the amount of anxiety that I was feeling was irrational and very overwhelming, and it wasn't there to protect me. It was in fact, it was debilitating me. So although yes, she was right, there was a lot I could do to manage my anxiety to a place where I'm at now, where of course I get anxious, as everybody does, but it's not about being so anxious that you can't live and function and being so scared and fearful. I mean, I got to a stage where I was anxious about being anxious, and that was a vicious cycle that I'd ended up in. So that then led me on to finding the Manchester Institute for Psychotherapy. And because I was in denial, maybe, still, rather than thinking I need to find a psychotherapist so that I can work on myself and sort out my issues, my mental health issues, I thought, oh, I'll do one better. I'll look into becoming a psychotherapist. So in a way, it was kind of that got me to the Manchester Institute. And thankfully, training as a psychotherapist, a TA psychotherapist, which is what I do, the area that I train in is transactional analysis psychotherapy. And as part, I can't speak for other training, but as part of my training, I have to be in continuous therapy. And so I have been in therapy actually now for about, on and off, probably coming up to 8 years. And actually, I don't think I'll ever completely stop having therapy. I will always use it as a tool for me to take care of myself and for me to continuously explore myself. So that's where my journey then started, of having my own personal therapy, which was fantastic, and then going on further to start my training, of which I've now completed my 4-year and diploma in TA psychotherapy, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, and run a private practice offering psychotherapy and counselling. And also lots of other things, working with parents and with children, and hence why with the Parent Plus Club. Because really, you know, even though the time where I had the breakdown and spent time in the Priory was, at the time, I would have chopped my right arm or leg off to feel better, to feel more able to cope and to manage the anxiety. Although on reflection now, looking back, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it changed my life and almost pushed me and triggered me into finding out more about myself. And as a result, finding out more about myself, having a completely different perspective on life, being able to manage my life much better, doing much more, doing many more things that make me happy and content, and just understanding what it is really that I want and that I need. And then obviously being able to help other people and pass that on is so rewarding as well, because, you know, at that time where I felt so bad, I felt so lost and isolated, and I had all my family around me and everybody was there to support me. But you could, you know, when you feel that bad, you could be in a crowded room full of people that love you and you still feel completely alone and isolated. So in a way, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it's brought me to where I am today. And not everybody's going to want to speak out about how anxious they feel, or that if they feel depressed, or if they feel that they're being obsessive or compulsive in some way, or these things and vulnerabilities that we all have in varying degrees. Not everybody's going to want to talk about them. And I must be honest, if I'd kind of set myself a task to do this video once I left the Priory when I was 25, I'm now 36, I would have felt so overwhelmed even doing this, because I didn't want everybody to know. I still felt, probably still had the stigma myself, that actually I don't want people knowing that there's something wrong with me, or that I wasn't able to cope, or anything like that. So really it's personal choice as to whether people talk out or not, and some will choose to and some won't. And it's only really when you're ready as an individual that you're then able to do that. So that's partly why I'm doing this now, because I feel robust and I feel content, and as I say, I can see the positive in what happened to me, and it kind of had to happen. And in some ways I feel fortunate that it happened really when I was so young, at 25, because it's then given me, you know, the rest of my life to not suffer and have to try and manage that day to day. So, you know, I really think when people can speak out and feel that they're able to speak out, then it's important to do so, because there is still a huge stigma attached to mental health. And again, you know, what is mental health? Am I mentally ill because I was in the Priory and had a breakdown? I don't think I am mentally ill. I think I had a period in my life where things built up, and the way that I'd decided to make sense of the world, or the way I'd just chosen to do things, meant that I got to a point where I couldn't cope and I couldn't manage. But does that make me mentally ill. Who knows? Who, you know, in fact, who cares? It is what it is. I was completely overwhelmed. I needed help, I needed support, and I got that. So the main thing really is ensuring that you get what it is that you need, that you are able to, if you're not to necessarily speak out like this, because a lot of people wouldn't want to do this, but to speak out to those that are close to you if you need that help and you need that support. So really, that's it. That's the purpose of my video. And if anybody has any questions or anything, then you can message us via Facebook page or Google+. This is the first time I've used Google+, it's all a bit new to me on there. And I just think, you know, whatever you've been through, whatever life throws at you, we all have times that are dark, that are deep, and that are overwhelming. You know, as human beings, we have all of these feelings. None of us get away without being scared. None of us get away without feeling anger. None of us get away without feeling sad. You know, life is full of lots of experiences where we experience loss and grief, and, you know, but they're equally as important in a lot of ways as the positive feelings. So again, you know, I can't remember what it is now off the top of my head, but there was a lovely quote that I read the other day that was basically saying, you know, you can't grieve if you haven't loved. So it's kind of like the two come together. So there are going to be ups and downs, but the fact of the matter is that you are who you are, and you're an individual in your own right. And it's not about being diagnosed or given a title or working out. I spent a lot of time trying to work out in my head, what was I? Did I have an anxiety disorder? Was I depressed? But actually none of that really mattered, because it was what it was at the time, and I just needed to understand myself more, to get the support, to get the help and get the therapy, and that's what I did. So I hope this helps, and even just hearing that someone, you know, I live a great life, I have a wonderful daughter, I'm married, just about renovating a fantastic house, really looking forward to. I have a really thriving practice in counselling and psychotherapy. But, you know, I've had my times and still will have times where I'm extremely vulnerable. I still feel anxious. I mean, you know, I'm a human being. So it's really important that you also let yourself off the hook every now and then. Give yourself a break. You're only human. Whatever it is, whatever you're feeling or however it comes across, you know, what's important is what you want and what you need. So thank you for listening, and feel free to share this with anyone that you think might find it useful. And as I say, you want to have a chat or make a comment on Facebook, then please feel free. Okay, thanks, bye.